Do you know any German bands? I don't know if you know that the German stoner sludge doom scene is also pretty big. There's one band where you really hear the influences. The Machine. Have you heard about them?
I have heard of the Machine, but I don't think I've heard any of their music. Maybe if I heard it, I might
Yeah,
recognize it.
yeah.
But to be quite honest with you, I have heard of them, but I haven't heard of the
Okay,
tunes.
okay,
So,
okay. So
but
so any no German Samsara Blues Experiment. They were playing also, I think,
who's
on
that?
Samsara Blues Experiment.
No, no.
All
Maybe
right,
if I heard them, you know,
check them out. Good
you
stuff.
know, I the older I get, I find myself going back. As far as music is concerned.
Mm.
There's a lot of people think that I just get up in the morning and I turn on you know stoner rock and I take a big bong load and when
Mm.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't um, I have two wonderful kids, a wonderful wife, and there's some normality and there's some normacy in my life, but I find myself when listening to music, when listening to newer music, I'm not as touched as I am as when I go back and I start
Mm.
listening to bands like Leafhound or Buffalo or finding rarities, and listening to old 70s disco records. Bands like Boss Gags, the Bee Gees, the Ohio Players, the Temptations, all that old stuff. A lot of people think I don't think I listen to that type of music, but I find myself going further and further and further back and listening to that old R&B stuff and don't get me wrong, I'll still turn on Spine of God on the deck.
Mm.
When the kids are at Grandma's house, I'll throw it on and I'll knock them back and I'll do what I do, and that's always great. That's always fun because it's escapism,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm into the music, to escape, if only for an hour or two a night, and be able to keep on listening and keep on going back and going forward but I think that if Nick were here, he would probably have to say there's one band that touched him and one band that touched me, from Hanover, and that's the Scorpions.
Really?
I mean, I've got to be honest. I'm a fan.
Great.
I'm a fan of the band, and I used to listen to them all the time, and still do. So I know that's a bigger name, and it's not something that's underground, but this is one of the first times I've been back to Germany since the beginning of me, Josh, and Nikki and Scotty coming back together again. So hopefully I'll be able to get in touch with some of the some of the bands that you've talked about, and take a
Yeah.
listen to them, and be able to find some new music that touches me. So I'm looking forward.
You will.
Good deal.
So, what was your motivation, or what was the way to finally, after all these years playing in other bands, and say, okay, come on, let's do Kyuss again?
Well, it all really it began that I knew that Brent was still doing music full time, and Nick was still doing music full time, and Scott was still involved in music, whether it be playing music or recording music. He was still involved, and all of my former band members were very much involved and enthralled in their projects, and I was in veterinary diagnostics, and I genuinely loved that. And I would get my fix every now and then with some side projects, whether it be Hermano or Slow Burn or Danko Jones, these kind of one-off projects, but it was never enough. So decided to start promoting my solo record, Garcia versus Garcia, with Garcia plays Kyuss, and ran into Brant. Make a long story short, I wanted to do it again. It felt great. It felt great when Brant would come up on stage and he would do Green Machine. It felt really, really good to do that. And I emailed Brant and talked to Brant, and talked to Nick, and lo and behold, here we are, really, and it's kind of turned into a monster, and we're going to do another record, and we're going to tour, and we want to work, and eventually Garcia versus Garcia will come out. But
And so you will do another Kyuss record?
we are going to do another.
Right.
We're gonna. It's going to be obviously. It's going to be called Kyuss Lives. But we are planning to do another studio record, and without Josh. A lot of people think that there's or want there to be a lot of animosity between Josh and I, when it's really the exact opposite. I have nothing but great things to say about Josh. I think he's an amazing guitar player, amazing singer. First and foremost, I think he's even a better songwriter than anything else. I can't talk highly enough about him, and again, I ran into him recently, and we were up on stage together, and I think the only thing that we were talking about was how gray we were both getting, and it was great. If only for a short moment of time, we talked and we chatted, and it was genuinely very nice to see my old friend. I love him dearly.
Good to hear. That's the question that the people said, don't ask him this. So it's good that you say something different. So let's talk a little bit about your new project. I read about it on the website, and I felt like it's very dear to your heart. Like there's something wants to come out. And what do we have to expect? Will we hear something today, or what will it be like?
Well, I'm not planning to change the face of rock and roll by releasing Garcia versus Garcia, and there's already plenty of anticipation by me to want to hear it. I'm curious, after all this fucking talk about it, I would like to actually have it come out. And a few songs have been recorded. The majority of the record's been recorded, but I'm going to go back in and they're just kind of souped up and hyped up demos. A few of them are not demos. They're the real piece. They're the real deal. And just to get back in and record these pieces that I've been holding on to for many, many years, it'll be a great relief off my back, and I certainly look forward to it. It's going to be a rock record for sure. There might be a couple acoustic pieces in there and some, oddities. I don't know, but it'll definitely be a rock record, and that's something that I definitely want to get out. And as long as I'm on this earth, I'm gonna get this record out. So, but first, I've got to do this Kyuss Lives piece. I got to do that first. So, unfortunately, again, Garcia versus Garcia is going to have to take a back seat. But eventually, again, like I said, it'll get out.
Oh, good, great. So, last question from a reader. He wants to know if there is any chance there will be a new Slow Burn album.
No, I've learned to say, never say never.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That leaves the door open, because you never know, and maybe we might come over. I was thinking about doing a Unita slow burn tour, and like do an hour set of each piece. That's the first I've ever talked about it with anybody, but it'd be fun to do. It'd be nice to do, and to hang out with those guys again. It'd be all right. We'll see what happens. There's a lot more before that happens that has to come out, that I've got to achieve before I even start thinking about that. But it's been kind of cooking in the back of my head.